episode of Progress, Potential, and Possibilities, discussions with fascinating people designing a better tomorrow for all of us. I'm your host, Ira Pastor. Welcome everybody again to another episode of our show with another really fascinating guest for you today, helping to create a really unique and better tomorrow for all of us. Today we have the honor of being joined by Sergey Young, who is a longevity investor, visionary, and author with a mission to help 1 billion people around the world extend their healthy lifespans by making longevity technologies affordable and accessible for everyone. And as part of that mission, he has founded the Longevity Vision Fund, which is a $100 million venture capital fund investing in technologies with the potential to disrupt life sciences and healthcare, helping people to live these longer, healthier lives. Sergey has spent over 20 years in the investment domain, including roles as managing a $2 billion private equity fund and co-founding Peak State Ventures, a New York-based private equity fund focusing on new technologies, real estate, digital healthcare, and the future of work. Sergey is also a venture partner at Bold Capital Partners, which is a $250 million fund focusing on exponential technologies, co-founded by Peter Diamandis. Some of his other activities include being on the innovation board at the XPRIZE Foundation. He's a development sponsor of the Age Reversal XPRIZE. He's on the board of directors of the American Federation of Aging Research and on the financial advisory board at the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Longevity in the UK. His new book, which you see behind him there on the shelf, Science of Technology Growing Young, is going to be available quite shortly. Sergey Young, thanks so much for taking time to come on the show today.
Hi, Ira. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It's a bit lengthy introduction. I'm more simple than the words that we used to describe me, but thanks for that. It's pretty reassuring and rewarding just to see how many things we've been able to do in longevity sector for the last few years. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd love to start off, Sergey, just by introducing a little bit about how you, with this amazing background in tech and real estate and all these fields, what got you interested in longevity to begin with?
Great. So the unfortunate reality, and this is what I learned in the last few years, that for us to start, to be interested in longevity, in our own health, it does take a wake-up call. And this is significant deterioration, like significant health problems that we're facing, or that some of the people that we love in our immediate circle facing. And it was the same for me. It was lung cancer case with my father back in 2005. He survived, but the quality of his life has never recovered. And or my high cholesterol problem, where I had a choice either to take statins till the rest of my life every day, or to make some changes in my lifestyle, in my diet, the way I structure my relationship with medicine. What do I know about our body and our biology? And I took a different path rather than just living on medication, and it was extremely interesting. So I discovered this whole field of biology, of human health, of longevity, and my lifestyle change was extremely successful. I achieved the same result that one would achieve by taking statins and not changing the diet, physical activity, etc. So I started to change life and lifestyles of the people around me. I like it, and I actually sent few people to do like their medical checkup. So some of them discovered early stage cancer, and because it was early stage, they managed to recover 100%. So they've been treated successfully. So they called me up and like, Sergey, you saved my life. And after receiving few calls like that, you are on the hook. You finally think that your lives have a mission, rather than just making money, taking care of your kids and family, kind of doing business. You can actually save lives. You can bring something good to this planet. And this is where I find inspiration and an aspiration to change as many lives as possible by bringing, again, affordable and accessible version of medicine. I'm not interested in doing something for, only for each. It should be for everyone.
Outstanding, outstanding. And in the book, you divide up sort of the future and sort of the vision of aging, actually in three parts, what you call horizons. Horizon 1, which is sort of everything we're doing today, and some of the secrets that you know about now, the things in terms of diet, exercise, and so forth, to get us to 100 healthfully. And then there's 2 future horizons, and I think I'd really like to go into those, because those are really, when we're talking about the big picture of 150, 200, and so forth, really where I think a lot of us know this is all going. And I'd love to start at what you term the near horizon of longevity, where you get into artificial intelligence, gene editing, organ regeneration, really hot topics today. Talk about some of the things that you're particularly most interested in this horizon. Obviously, if there's confidential stuff in your investment portfolio, you don't have to go into that, but talk about what excites you in terms of this near horizon.
Right. So spot on. So we like all the change in longevity in the future will come from 2 different horizons. One is near horizon of longevity, and you're right, it's 5, 10, 15 years from now. So these are technologies and discoveries in science which will be available to us in within this time frame. So you need to stay on longevity bridge actually to be healthy and happy, then enjoy this development. So that's one thing. But I do believe this near horizon of longevity and all the technologies and science within that will help us to break the sound barrier of 122 years. This is a maximum lifespan that we've seen on Earth, for the record. And then obviously there's far horizon that we can discuss a little bit later. Sure. So when And funny enough, actually, near horizon of longevity and its technologies, exactly the sweet spot for longevity vision fund. This is what we invest, well, probably 3/4 of our capital into that. So when people ask me, like, what are the most exciting things in within the near horizon of longevity, I like my top 3 are: number 1 is gene editing and gene therapy. Mm-hmm. So if you would pick up just one, they would be my favorite, because it gives us an opportunity and an ability to amend our genetic code. And there's so many things which we can influence our genes. And that I do believe that it's an opportunity to fundamentally change, to like redefine ourselves as a human. It's going to be like humans 2.0. And actually, it does raise a lot of ethical and regulatory implications. So like, I actually do believe, like, in 15, 20 years from now, we're not going to have constraints on the science front. We're not going to have constraints on the technology front. The constraints going to be in ethics and in regulation. So that's what I think. And like in the last 20 years, we've made amazing progress in this field. Well, just think about gene editing and gene therapy. 20, 30 years ago, I think US spent $3 billion, and it took 13 years for Human Genome Project to sequence human genome. $3 billion at this time. It was completely different kind of money. Well, right now you can sequence human genome of for a few hours, and $200. You even have like a kits, gene editing kit for our kids, right? And for $170 you can amend the DNA of some of the bacteria. So this is great. But then again, 20, 30 years ago, it was only a handful of people which in a very risky way can enjoy the benefit of gene therapy. And this is because they had nothing to lose. They were terminally genetically sick. Well, fast forward today, we all participating in hopefully successful experiment with vaccines like Moderna or AstraZeneca is an example of gene therapy. We just don't realize that. Mm-hmm. But I've just seen the article and the headline of this article: Moderna vaccine has been developed in the course of 2 days. This is amazing. Like 50, 100 years ago, it was not even years, like decades, which took us humanity to develop vaccines. And right now it's just 2 days. This is beautiful. And we do invest a lot in different platforms focused on gene editing and gene therapy development of this field. So that's one. Two, I'm very excited about potential of organ regeneration and organ replacement. Like, if you think about Aubrey de Grey's metaphor of old car, and this, like, you can extend the resource and timing of productivity for the old car. You just need to replace like certain parts right there. You can even replace the engine. So we're going to be switching from biological view of human body and mind to more engineering view of that. And therefore, our ability to replace organs inside our body, actually two most difficult ones is actually, I think it's our brain and our heart, is instrumental. And there's so many great developments in this field happening, like Martin Rothblatt, amazing woman. I interviewed her for my book. What they're doing in United Therapeutics with using different biomaterials to create and recreate different organs. That's amazing. Or redefine this organ transportation of organ transplants within the US and all over the world. So that's amazing. Or like 3D bioprinting. It's still early stage.
Sure.
But I do think that it's just another 5 to 7 years when we will be able to use the outcome of that for organ replacement. Or my favorite one is investments of Jim Mellon and Juvenescence, and we also investors in this company. It's a company called like Genesis. They're based in Pittsburgh, and they use our lymph nodes to regenerate and regrow our organs. So they take donor liver, split it in 50 pieces, use simple laparoscopic operations to put it in recipient lymph node. And then in the course of 3 to 6 months, your body regrows liver, which can support the work of the liver, which is now your natural liver, which is now not really functioning well or not functioning at all. And that's amazing. This is an opportunity when one donor liver can help 50 to 75 people. And obviously, it's going to democratize the cost of that, because right now, like liver transplantation is a very expensive and very difficult surgery. It's going to cost up to $800,000, and people wait months, if not years for that. I think just last time I checked, it was 117,000 people waiting for donor organs in the US alone. Like 17 people die every day. So that's a big change. And then third one, I do believe that in 10 years from now, in the near horizon of longevity, we're going to have a new class of drug. And it's going to be longevity drugs. I call it longevity and appeal. So this is going to be the drugs which are not focusing on particular disease, like the type of drugs, different type of drugs that we have today. These are the drugs that will give us an opportunity to influence aging processes within our body. And we do have some candidates already. It's like what was that? It's metformin, the old diabetes drug. It's generic drug. I think it's existed here on Earth for last 50 or 60 years. Or rapamycin. I'm pretty sure it can be a drug developed by artificial intelligence, because AI give us this amazing opportunity to compress the drug development cycle to make it cheaper, more effective. So it's a combination of AI and human intelligence, which would just create the new category of drug, longevity drugs as well. So these are my 3 most favorite breakthroughs area in the near horizon of longevity.
Excellent. And then as we segue now to the far horizon, where we get less carbon and more to the silicon domain, you talk about things like avatars, brain-computer interfaces. There's an interesting concept you talk about called the Internet of Bodies. Actually, there was a write-up in the World Economic Forum Human Enhancement Group about that a little while ago. And here you're talking about, not just all these interesting devices that we can implant and swallow and so forth nowadays, but how we could ultimately all connect them up into sort of on a global sense to learn from each other and deal with pandemics and other diseases in unique ways. Talk a little bit about this concept, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what we have with the Tesla cars, right? They all interconnected. You can uploads, all of them on a distance. And it's like central data repository, which gives the opportunity to humans and AI neural networks to learn from it and to modify it. So we're going to be full of sensors. I'm already full of sensors, right? So I have Oura Ring. I use Apple Watch to measure my activity, Oura Ring for health. For measure my sleep. I'm just experimenting with Whoop on my other hand. It's charging at the moment. So I have my glucose monitor. I don't know if you can see that here.
Okay.
For which lasts for 14 days. It's you can have zero patch for like 7 or 8 days, which does continuous electrocardiogram. And gives you an opportunity then to download. It downloads everything on the chip, and then you send this chip to the company which have access to this data and draw important conclusion about how your heart works. So it's just pro forma. I mean, it's a small example how Internet of Bodies will work, but in parallel to Internet of Things, we all going to be interconnected. We interconnected in the world anyway. We just use very inefficient interface like this. So I still need to use my eyes and my ears, right, and my fingers to connect with other people. So it's going to be different in the future. But then quantity of these connections will result in the quality of that. So we'll just build this huge network of people and a lot of sensors that we'll have in our body, similar to the car. Again, it's the second time we use this metaphor. When you just know, like, if something happening in your body, like your AI will tell you exactly what is happening, how it needs to be treated, what's the level of risk that you're facing, and like we'll be able to detect all the most even deadly diseases at extremely early stage and recover and treat us. And as well, and we can just exchange. It's just leveraging this whole health data all around the earth for the benefit of humanity.
Really exciting. Really exciting. Sergey, so you've been, extremely active, extremely successful on the private equity scene, not just with Longevity Vision Fund, but your other initiatives. I think probably from a sort of pure longevity perspective, Longevity Vision Fund is probably the largest, private equity fund focused on it. We see a bunch of seed investors out there as well. And then, as you were mentioning, groups like Juvenescence, Life, more of a holding company structure.
Yeah.
Walk us through a little bit of how you vision sort of this investment, private equity scene unfolding, specifically in longevity. And then also, if you could, once again, nothing confidential, but obviously you and funds like you always have to kick up to other limited partners and so forth. What are you seeing in terms of some of the larger institutions finally getting involved in some of these private equity shops?
A very interesting question. Longevity is an orphan in financial world, and I'm not here to complain, but like 100 million fund is peanuts in terms of financial industry. I mean, it's a lot of money for all of us, and this is not my money, it's money of my investors, right?
Sure.
But then when we set Longevity Vision Fund up and we announced that we're gonna raise $100 million, we became like the largest longevity focused fund in the world. Right. Obviously, there's earlier pioneers who's done amazing job, like Laura Deming with Longevity Fund, James Payer with Cambrian. There's so many other people, and the holding companies that you mentioned, like Juvenescence or Life Biosciences. But then, and we obviously know each other, and we help each other with the knowledge, with origination. I mean, it's a very united and driven by common mission community of people. But then, like, if you speak to the industry, they're like, longevity, we don't have this indication. And the biggest problem that aging is not a disease in official terms. I mean, you can argue about semantics, whether it should be disease or important risk factor. At this particular point, I don't really care. But the problem is that you cannot go and invest the billions of dollars into fighting aging, because you cannot register your IP, your intellectual property rights. And this is the problem, because there's no viable economic model for you to invest, and you and me to invest in longevity, protect your own investments, and then make sure your capex, your capital expenditure, your research and development costs are paid back. And this stops a lot of investors. I mean, obviously not some crazy people like us, but and for us, it had a huge implication. So we always looking at the companies who are viable not only for longevity, but also in the current regulatory environment. We forced to do it because we cannot really invest only in like 100% longevity focused companies. So it should be your base case scenario should exist today, and like longevity should be like a positive side effect of what they're doing, whether it's drug, intervention, technology, app, or medical devices. So we forced to do it. So that's kind of bad news. And then, but I do think if you look at the good news, whenever we will realize that aging should be disease in FDA terms, in terms of regulation, it's going to be a massive inflow of capital. Like cancer R&D is anywhere between 80 and 100 billion dollars a year. Well, this is why we are right in the middle of winning the war against cancer. And similar longevity attracts, depending on the sources, it's from 2 to 4 billion dollars a year, just a small fraction of that. So longevity as an opportunity should be similar to cancer. So this is going to happen as soon as we'll change regulation front and view on the aging and longevity. It does make sense. But then what has happened in the last few years, a lot of people approach us now saying, it was not the case back in 2019, but it was the case last year and this year. They're saying, guys, we have this traditional healthcare portfolio, whether it's portfolio of drugs, medical devices, inventions, IPs, etc. Can we just have you on board as investors? And together with you guys, we want to explore the option value of this portfolio in the context of longevity. We still don't know whether this value is zero or, $10 billion. But we do realize there's something positive that can come out of it in the context of longevity and human life extension and advancing and extending human health span as well as lifespan. So this is what is happening. People start to realize there's some positive value in what they do today. You can discover through the lenses of longevity, and this is where we are helpful.
Got it. And continuing along that, so thinking more the traditional, and now let's go to the slightly less traditional. You are, as I mentioned at the beginning, you're on the innovation board of the XPRIZE, age reversal XPRIZE sponsor. I had Rui Tsizana about a year ago on another platform talking about that. Also had folks on like Victor Zhao at the National Academy of Medicine and George McGinnis at UKRI, all building these interesting sort of competitions, prize models. Talk about the importance of some of these other models alongside the private equity model.
Well, XPRIZE is my favorite impact platform, and I've been there for a few years as the innovation board member. And for someone who don't know, you just you take, well, let's just use the real example. You take $15 million from someone like Elon Musk. This is the real XPRIZE. It's called Global Learning XPRIZE that we finished back in 2019. You go to the world and you say, guys, teams all around the world, we usually have 200, 300, 400 teams from 50 plus countries participating in competitions. So, and you're saying, guys, the one team or few teams, which are going to be in the shortlist and the final, who's going to solve the world's biggest problem? We're going to get this money. And like in this case with Elon Musk and Global Learning, it was digital learning challenge. When you can, and the idea was to develop the open source application that you can put in any device, spread out to kids in Africa, to people in prison, and they're gonna learn English, Swahili, or any other language with zero support from the teacher or any other adults. So that's been amazing. We've done that. So the largest XPRIZE we've done this year actually was with Elon Musk again. He donated $100 million for carbon removal XPRIZE. So the winning team would need to develop technology to take out CO2 from the atmosphere and build and develop like a minimum viable product. How you utilize the CO2 for the benefit of the world economy and human and ecology and the planet Earth as well. And the first XPRIZE we know is Virgin Galactic. There's actually Richard Branson bought out the rights and the design of this first private spaceship, which has been developed by the first XPRIZE. And we just seen Richard and his friends using that, to go to space. So this is XPRIZE. So my dream in XPRIZE term was always been to create age reversal XPRIZE. So the winning team would need to bring intervention or technology or the drug, whatever is regulatory approved, to reverse aging. So you just measure this set of biomarkers right now and in 12 months time, and like whomever will achieve the biggest progress in terms of the age reversal gonna win. And like I don't care whether it's lifestyle intervention or anything else, we just need to make sure that we have something or a number of ideas of how we can reverse aging and make people younger, healthier, and happier. So I want to expand the health span rather than simply working on a lifespan. Sure. So that's the idea of age reversal XPRIZE. For the last year and a half, we've done design phase. This was my personal donation to the XPRIZE for that. And we united so many great minds to design it. It was like people like George Church, David Sinclair, Steve Horvath, inventor of the first biological clocks, Terry Grossman and Ray Kurzweil, Chris Verburg from Belgium, Peter Diamandis. So, I mean, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm looking forward that by the end of this year or early next year, we'll be able to finalize our discussions with sponsors and launch the XPRIZE.
Excellent, outstanding. Sergey, along those lines, so we're going from private equity to prize models. Give us your top. I mean, I think most of us that follow the longevity space were focused about a week ago. The XPRIZE Foundation, you mentioned Aubrey de Grey, raised somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million via something called a pulse chain airdrop. Not exactly sure what that is. I don't know anything about crypto, but give me a couple of minutes on your feeling of where crypto fits in all of this. I know there's a lot of different opinions about what crypto is all about, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Look, I'm frankly speaking, I'm like not the best person to talk about crypto because I'm busy with like private equity, with venture capital, assets class, with doing something in the field of longevity. So I really don't know what is kind of happening there, but I do know it's just really volatile. So like even if you look at the what's the largest cryptocurrency? It's Bitcoin, right? Yeah. It was $60,000, then it went to $30,000, then it's now again like $40,000 as we speak. Like tomorrow it can be completely different. So and given the sense of volatility, what I do know from kind of financial perspective, from investment perspective, and trying to manage the risk, one should not invest more than kind of 2, 4, or 5% of his or her wealth into crypto, because you can win or you can lose. And my job is different. My job is building diversified portfolio of different assets, different longevity breakthroughs and longevity companies. And then one of them or few of them will make a breakthrough, and we all benefit from that. Right. I know this is not the answer you were expecting, but I'm still fascinated by this crypto space, but I never had time to go into that.
No, it's fine. I figured you knew a lot more than I do about it, so I thought I'd throw it at you as well. But let's get back to you. As you mentioned, coming up the end of the month, Science and Technology to Growing Young, it's coming out, available on Amazon and other sources. Can Sergey, other things that are maybe coming up, conferences you're going to be speaking at, TED Talks, maybe, what's coming up next? Please take the floor.
Yeah, so a few things. I've developed a TEDx. I just had a TEDx talk called Morality of Immortality. And this is actually the name of the chapters, one of the chapters in the book. It's a final chapter, chapter 11, called Morality of Immortality. And if you go to sergeyyoung.com, you can actually download this chapter. It's just free promotion for the book. And I'm really fascinated by the ethics of longevity. And because like discussion about life extension, about longevity and longevity technologies and breakthroughs in science is really the acid test for us as a world. Mm-hmm. And as I said in the talk, it's going to be published pretty soon. We've created this science and technology to extend our life. Well, we haven't created life that we want to extend. So there's so many trade-offs, the ethical ones, the one on in terms of the some of the moral dilemmas that we have in the world. Well, we need to solve now, not in 25 years, like, you know, closing the inequality gap, or making sure that we revisit our social constructs, like what will happen to our career? If I live 150 years, can I have as many careers as decades in my life? What will happen if I would leave my finances? What will happen with my multi-generational portfolio of kids, right? What will happen to marriage? Can we, and shall we revisit to more like kids raising partnerships, right? There's so many social constructs which are really outdated on this whole concept of retirement. It's binary. You work and then you retire. Well, life is not black and white. In fact, statistically, two most dangerous years in your life were year of your birth and year of your retirement, because you lose like the place for social realization, for where you develop yourself, where you connect with people, when you contribute, you can share the best of your wisdom or your experience, right? We need to be mindful of that, or our relationship with Mother Nature. Like today, if I live 75 years, I can just drop the plastic and say like next generations of young families need to sort it out. Tomorrow, if we all live significantly longer, we would need to face the consequences of our own actions in this regard. So morality of immortality is a big thing for me. And so you can read it in the chapter and download this. Well, the other thing is I've developed longevity video economy, and again, it's part of a pre-order offer for the book, and it's available free of charge if you pre-order that. This is 12 10-minute videos covering all the aspects of longevity. I'm very excited about this whole thing. I'm thinking about the theme for my next book, but you know, I just need to kind of finish the promo and presentation of this book and thinking about this. I'm fascinated by the topic of female health. Like, if you look at the current version of like research in medicine, in some of the cases, this is just white males are testing something on the white males, and that's it. And they assume it works for everyone. It's not. And women have completely different, sometimes, view on the health issues. And in fact, they are responsible for up to 80% of the health-related decisions for the families and communities. Yep. So this is fascinating topics. I'm thinking about this a lot. And then the other thing which is I'm working on is the healthy habits for our kids. I'm father of 4. As I say, I'm founder of a diversified portfolio of 4 kids. I love all of them. And what I thought, what if we can instill and install some healthy habits, like healthy trade-offs in their brain before they will receive, you know, all in like the programming from advertising, from the big food, from big pharma, from the school, etc. So I'm actually finalizing this smaller book, a really small one. It's called Healthy Habits, like 10 Healthy Habits of for our kids, something like that. It's a working title. I think it's just amazing territory when you can educate the kids very early, so they're already born and they enter to the big world with great knowledge what actually influenced their health and how to live healthy and happy life. I do think it's a fascinating topic, and I think it's really exciting, so we can influence that and change another billion lives.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's refreshing to hear someone like you that realizes we have to focus on these other components of it. It's great to have. We're going to have our longevity pill, but thinking about these social issues, thinking about the next generation, very refreshing. And it's just really, really nice seeing someone like you, Sergey, talk about it, think about these issues, looking forward. Really, this is an amazing set of projects you have going on, and really wishing the best with all of it. For everybody that's going to be listening to this particular episode on the podcast or watching on the YouTube channel, you've been listening to Sergey Young, founder of the Longevity Vision Fund, longevity venture partner at Bold Capital Partners, innovation board member at the XPRIZE, board of directors of the American Federation of Aging Research. Pick up his new book, The Science and Technology of Growing Young, soon to be available on Amazon. Check out his website, follow him, because he's got a lot of great stuff happening. Sergey, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to talk with us. Thanks for everything you're doing. And as we say on our show, thanks for helping to create the better tomorrow. Really, really very exciting.
Yeah, thanks, Ira. And thanks for everything you do with your podcast and conversation you're having, spreading the message across a broader audience. And what I want to say, I think it's we live in an amazing time right after post-COVID. Hopefully we are post-COVID. It's time to renew ourselves. It's time to take back control and responsibility for our own health and the health of our planet. So stay healthy and happy, please.
Awesome message. Thanks so much.